Hi guys, it's Horsey Steph, and today I am back with another Horse Trainer Reacts to Horse Fails video. Today is a little bit different because we are going to be reacting to fails and falls from the Tokyo Olympics. So definitely a different group of riders than you typically see in my Horse Trainer Reacts to Horse Fails videos, because these are all upper level accomplished riders that in theory are really good and shouldn't be making mistakes that result in falls and fails. So I'm excited to go ahead and jump in and see what happens. Definitely quite a few of these are just like simple little mistakes, but at the level they're competing at, a small mistake makes a huge difference. You really aren't allowed to make any mistakes at that level, especially on majority of the horses they're riding. You'll always be able to find the one horse that you can make like a bunch of mistakes and somehow they still pull through and give you a great round, but that's not going to be typical. So this is more representative of the upper level sport. Small mistakes really catch up to you, take you out of the placings, and give you fail videos. So let's go ahead and jump on in and see what happens. All right, so another show video. Oh my, I didn't expect that coming up to that fence. It looks like the horse misjudged that wasn't a single vertical. And when he took off, he came down on the back rail of the oxer, just assuming that wasn't there, and almost kind of fell on himself, caught himself, but the rider still came off as if he'd done a full rotation. Unlucky for sure, because I doubt that happens very often. Really seems like the horse just made a dumb mistake and really tripped himself up as a result. Yeah, see, he just came right down on that back oxer rail as if he had not had it at all. All right, this one I'm not entirely certain what happened. I don't know if the distance coming up to that last fence was bad or the horse just didn't have the confidence to do it. Hard to really say. I would think competing at this level, the horse would have the confidence to do it. So I'm gonna assume that they just got left behind or too ahead through that kind of gymnastics. And by the time they got to that last element, the horse didn't think he could make it anymore. Again, it's hard to say because this front angle really hides a lot. So pro tip, if you're making video and you want a horse to look good, video him from the front. You really can't see a whole lot of what's happening. It hides so much. Versus on the side, you have a much better idea of what mistakes the rider or the horse are making. And please, for the love of God, let go of your horse's mouths. Oh my God, it's cross country. I don't like these. I don't think they had enough pace coming into that. It seemed to me like the first part of that combination, are they called combinations cross country? I don't know if that is truly a combination, because I guess a combination would denote a related distance, and it might not be, but the first element this horse went over, it seemed to me like he kind of lost a lot of pace over it and struggled to get over it. And they landed kind of dead and kept that dead canter all the way into this big uphill skinny. I think that they really needed to push and gallop for it because the horse just didn't have enough impulsion to get over it, and he kind of climbed over it. Did a good job of, you know, going through the flags and saving himself, but unfortunately the rider kind of tipped off as the horse was climbing over it, trying to regain his footing. All right, so this is an example of a horrific distance. I actually thought the rider might save that for a minute, which was gonna surprise and impress me. I do wish the rider had let go of the horse's face, but I think they hung on to it to try to save themselves. So I can understand that. I wouldn't do it, don't recommend it, but definitely it's a thing people do, and in the heat of the moment you're not necessarily thinking straight, you're just trying to stay on. So what happened to that one is there was absolutely no distance to that fence. Again, these fences are big enough at this point that you need a distance, and the riders and horses are skilled enough that you would think they would be able to find them more consistently, but obviously they don't. That horse ended up with the choice between a horrific long spot and a chip, and I don't think the rider really made up their mind what they wanted the horse to do. So the horse thought about doing the long spot, and then at the last minute put a foot down to try to give himself a little bit more impulsion to clear it, and ended up just going right through the fence and taking it all down, and the rider tipped off in that process. I do think it's quite hard to ride these fences where the horse just falls over them. You're not expecting your horse to drop out from under you over a fence, and to drop out with them and really stay organized without ending up, off their back. I do think that would be a really challenging thing. I would love to see these riders just make quicker choices and save their horses a little bit more, instead of letting their horses flounder and get into tough spots because they couldn't find a distance. I mean, the horse tried really hard. It's just the spot coming up to that set it up for complete failure. All right, so this is Tomboy in the pentathlon. We have all probably seen this video before. I was kind of excited to have this in the video to react to. I didn't want to make a whole video on Tomboy, but I do have some things to say about him, so we won't watch too much. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with Tomboy. I don't think he's a bad horse. For the Olympics, they pulled kind of successful show jumpers from the area and borrowed their horses and put them in this pentathlon. For some horses, that's going to work out really well, but it's essentially like our college teams ride. You're drawing a horse, you don't know the horse may or may not be suited for you. Just because all of these horses are competing on the jumper circuit doesn't really make them even draws. My guess is Tomboy was quite successful jumping. I can see from the struggles they had that he is a sensitive horse that really needs a quiet, confident rider to guide him. And if you put too much pressure on him, he shuts down and panics. I love this kind of horse. I think they make wonderful upper level prospects. They are a little tricky to ride because you can't manhandle them. And once you start getting big, they freeze and all of the problems come out. So in my opinion, what happened with Tomboy is his brain just got fried in the first rider he drew. That rider was a lot rougher than he's used to. And again, I'm not saying necessarily an inhumane rider, just rougher than he was used to, and kind of fried his brain. He was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. So going back in the ring with yet another unfamiliar rider, this girl didn't really even have a chance. Honestly, as soon as he stepped in the ring, he was already having a fit. Had I been on him, I would have approached it by just trying to give him his head, be really soft and coax him forward, and try not to get into a fight with him, because I think he's the kind of horse that once you start fighting, it's really gonna get ugly and you're not really gonna accomplish what you want. Which you can see here, she did try to fight him. I don't think very effectively. She was really on his face while she fought him. And he just couldn't jump from that state of mind. I do wish they had pulled this horse after his first ride, because even after the first one, and I did actually watch this pentathlon on TV, obviously not live, but I watched the whole thing. So after his first ride, I was already seeing his brain start to go. He was just overstimulated, really tense, and not in a mindset to be able to do the jumpers. And so putting another rider on him, especially one that I don't think is a very tactful rider, was just putting this horse in trouble and really not fair for him. They should have pulled him after the first rider, where he did get through the course, but it wasn't pretty, and you could really see him distraught after. Of course, he's not gonna wanna go back and do something that was stressful and difficult a second time around with a rider that I think actually has less tact than his first rider. So basically what's happening, if we play this video, is he is rearing and going backwards. She's keeping a feel of his mouth while trying to push him forward, and that's just getting him totally wound up. He feels trapped. I mean, this is just a horse that feels trapped. He has nowhere to go. He has no idea how to get out of the situation, and he's trying anything he can to find the right response. Again, I like these kinds of horses, and the right rider can really go far with them. That being said, this is a kind of horse I'm very careful who I put on, because you can really shut them down mentally very quickly, and it's not fair to the horse, it's not fair to the rider. You need somebody that can find the forward, find the opening, and always provide the release for the horse before they quit and panic. And honestly, both of my horses are similar to this. Lucy maybe more than London. London has a little more get along, and he panics a lot bigger. Again, not a bad horse, just really bad situation. That was horrifying, and I have no idea what happened. Honestly, they looked like they took off fine. My best guess is the horse didn't see the water on landing, thought the ground was gonna come up sooner because this is a bit of a drop, and just totally wasn't prepared and did a rotational fall over the water. It's truly awful. Glad the horse got right back up and seems okay. All right, that was just bad riding. So basically what happened, I'm gonna guess this is the pentathlon again. I do think the pentathlon is the only one that jumped on grass, so it probably is. But I can't imagine an upper level rider having that kind of air. Basically what happened is nobody was really telling the horse what to do. They were just riding soft, letting the horse go and trying to stick with it. And they ran into a really chippy distance as a result, which was fine. The horse was able to make up for it and get over the fence fine, but because it was chippy, he kind of popped his back up over it, and the rider didn't go with that at all and just went flying. Definitely the rider could have spent some more time learning to go with horses, especially if they're gonna ride in this style of letting the horse kind of pick their spots and pick their pace. I don't think it's a bad idea when you're catch riding, especially at this level. Most of these horses know their job enough, and they're, basically quiet, good, honest horses. You can probably get away with it, and better than kind of adding a lot of pressure and not really riding them with the correct finesse. So this probably would be my approach. I probably would have thrown in just the tiniest bit of half halt just to kind of play with it and see what happened, because I could see that was going to be a really deep chip. But again, it's not a bad style, especially for a less advanced rider that probably can't see their spots great. But if you're gonna do it, you really want to work on making sure you can go with the chips, go with the long spot, because you're guaranteed to get them with this style of riding. Yeah, so just completely came off, hung onto the neck for dear life. A horse did absolutely nothing wrong, just didn't ride well, and came off as a result. But at least she didn't seem mad at the horse about it. Probably disappointed in herself for coming off, I'm sure. That was really cool to see. Definitely most of these mistakes were just not quite getting the distance, not quite getting the horse back enough, or pushing them enough, losing impulsion. All the things every jumper trainer is gonna preach in every lesson. So it's really cool to see that at that level of the sport, it really does matter still. And it is still something these riders need to really pay a lot of attention to in order to get clean, wonderful rounds. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget to check out the description box down below where I have a playlist that links all of my horse fail videos. New horse fail videos come out every Monday and Wednesday at 5 p.m. So be sure not to miss them, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.